I made a couple of videos about the problems with my GoPro 9, and in the interests of fairness and balance, this video is to say that the problems are now okay. The camera's been fine actually for a few months, but I've been holding back making this video just to make sure, and I'm now convinced that it's fine, it's not a problem. So let's just give you a quick recap of the sort of history of the camera and the history of my problems. So it was released on the 16th of September 2020. I bought mine in May of 2021, and straight away there was a problem with the touchscreen. It was very unresponsive, and when I was trying to make it do things which it didn't want to do, it would do things I didn't want it to do, which is very, very frustrating. And I was quite shocked at this because the main user interface on a GoPro is a touchscreen. You do everything through the touchscreen, so it's a very important component. And this is generation 9, so you think that GoPro would have got it right by now, but there was still a problem. Anyway, on 22nd of June 21, they released firmware update 1.6, and that fixed the touchscreen problem. Because of when I bought it, I only had to wait about a month and a half for the fix. But those people who bought the camera when it first came out had to wait 9 months, which I think is really bad. So that got fixed. Then I noticed that the camera kept freezing, and I'm not sure whether it's related to using the media mod. I always use the media mod. It may not be a problem without the media mod, but typically, if I did a clip that went wrong and I wanted to delete it, I'll stop recording, go into the gallery so that I could delete it, and when I did that, the camera would just freeze. And there was another problem where it would tell me there had been an SD card error, and it wants me to reformat the SD card. Obviously, if I'd taken a lot of footage, I didn't want to delete all my footage. If I ignored the warning and didn't format it, there'd then be a problem when I put the SD card into a card reader on my machine. I couldn't see any of the files that had been written after the error, but I knew they were there because they'd been on the camera, but I just couldn't see them on my computer. Anyway, earlier this year, GoPro released another firmware update. This is 1.7 on the 30th of March. And since then, I haven't had any problems. In June, they released another firmware update, 1.72. And I think they messed up some things in 1.7, things I didn't use. It didn't affect me, but there was another update. And as I say, I haven't had any problems since 1.7 and 1.72. I did, on someone's recommendation, replace the SD card. GoPro list recommended SD cards, and I was using one of the cards on the list, the SanDisk Extreme. But the person told me there's a known problem with those cards, and it's best to use Samsung Evo. So I replaced my Extreme card with an Evo card. But even before I did that, the problem had been fixed through the firmware, so I don't think it was related to the SD card. So now I have the camera that I should have had in May 2021. I can use it. I can use the touchscreen. It doesn't give me SD card errors. It doesn't freeze. But it's taken a lot of time and 3 firmware updates. So I'm sort of fairly happy with the camera now. Am I happy with GoPro? And the answer is no. When I had the problems with the camera, I went onto the GoPro forums, and a lot of people were having these problems. And the standard response is always you're using the wrong SD card, you're not formatting the card properly, you haven't applied the firmware properly, you've got to do it manually, not through the app. It's always excuses, and it's always something the customer's doing. It's never ever a problem of GoPros. And what's been proven now is that this firmware update 1.7 maybe 1.72, probably 1.7 did actually fix the problem. So it's been their problem all along. They've known that, but they've never admitted it. And this is quite a common thing with GoPro. They just never ever admit any liability, you know, for their problems. I still have a problem, and that's with swollen batteries. The camera came with one battery. I bought another at the same time, and about a month later I bought a third. The batteries don't tend to last very long, and I thought I'd need 3 batteries. Well, within a year, 2 batteries had swollen quite a lot. And apart from the potential sort of safety hazard of a swollen battery, I was worried about the batteries getting stuck inside the camera. So I've just stopped using 2 of them now. I've actually bought one of the new Enduro batteries. It's more expensive, but I hope it won't have the swelling problem. But once again, I contacted GoPro about it, and it's never their problem. Never their problem. It's always the customer. Oh, you're using the wrong charger. Well, I'm not. I'm using the approved GoPro charger. You're overcharging the batteries. No, I'm not. You know, as soon as the green light comes on, I take the batteries out. It's never their problem. You know, it's always the customer. And this is what has really sort of put me off GoPro. So the way things stand now, I'm happy with the camera, and it's a real shame about the GoPro attitude towards like customer service and customer support, because it's a good little camera. It's solid, it's sturdy. The hyper smooth is fantastic. If you're walking around doing videos, you don't need a gimbal. The hyper smooth makes the image stabilization really nice. I did a comparison between this and my Canon EOS M6 Mark II, and this is far superior. The image quality in the daytime is fine. It's got a small sensor, so in low light and high ISO, it's not great, but daytime it's fine. So it's a great little camera. It's just the organisation behind it. So even though it's okay now, I'm still not happy to recommend GoPro, and I won't buy another GoPro myself. I think when GoPro first came along, they sort of entered a little niche in the market that no one else was in. These little, you know, little action cameras. So they had a monopoly. That's not the case anymore. There are other people's products that I hear are very, very good. You know, some have actually probably surpassed GoPro. So I'm still not happy with the GoPro company, but at least now I have a working camera that I can use, and more importantly, that I can trust.